Jesus told a handful of people to carry 3 specific things, and those 3 things are why your head feels foggy, why your thoughts are stolen, why you wake up exhausted as if someone drained you in the night. This is not a metaphor. What you feel as anxiety, mental clutter, or that dull pressure between the eyes is the same problem those first followers faced: a targeted suppression of your ability to see and to be sovereign. You have been taught to treat it as moral failure, stress, or the cost of modern life. The truth is physical, repeatable, and fixable. The source of this remedy is not some modern self-help pamphlet. It comes from a line in the Gospel of Philip that powerful institutions tried to excise from every copy they could find. That erasure was intentional, a way to keep people dependent on priests, rites, and gatekeepers by hiding simple tools that hand authority back to the individual. If a church, a bureaucracy, or an entire culture keeps you needy, they keep you controllable, and that's why this passage was buried. The revelation itself is blunt and practical. 3 crafted items: a blue stone, a written identity, and a drawn sigil act like tools of frequency that change how your body and your space respond to parasitic interference. The blue stone unblocks perception so you can tell which thoughts are yours. The handwritten decree locks in your personal authority, so administrators of fear have to step back. The circle with a point creates a field around your sleeping place, so nocturnal assaults cannot anchor. Once you see these as technologies, not superstitions, your whole relationship to protection and prayer shifts. You stop asking for permission and start enforcing it. This is urgent because ignorance has been the weapon used against you for generations. You are still paying the price with stolen time, stolen energy, and stolen nights. The instructions that follow are not symbolic decorations. They are protocols with steps, timing, and precautions. First, we begin with the stone. What it is, how to cleanse it, and how to use it so your vision comes back and the noise around your mind finally goes quiet. You have felt the tightness that comes with parasitic pressure, the hollowing that follows fear, and the search for protection that feels empty. For centuries, a practical set of tools was removed from knowledge, while institutional voices insisted faith alone suffices. These objects, recorded in Gnostic shelves and practical notes, function not as charms, but as tuned material frequencies that can form a frequency shield. When engaged, they change how dark entities called Archons find a vessel, reducing interference with your vital breath and restoring a sense of sovereignty. These items are described in Gnostic texts as instruments of vibration rather than magical tokens. That distinction matters. A frequency is a measurable pattern of motion in material form. The object is shaped or combined to hold oscillations that resonate with the source called the pleroma. By aligning with those oscillations, an anchored field is created that stabilizes light locally. Practically, alignment requires tuning the object, placement relative to your vessel, and directed use of vital breath to lock resonance without depending on any intermediary. Archons operate like interference. Their mode is parasitic pressure, and they exploit gaps where frequency shields are weak. They do not corrupt ideas. They attach to vessels whose monadic anchor is loose and amplify fear, so the vessel becomes easier to draw from. Recognizing their pattern is practical. Sudden drops in clarity, repeated cycles of dread, and a sense that energy leaks away. Those are signs of interference. Strengthening monadic anchor and deploying a frequency shield narrows the openings they use and restores control over how light flows through you. The mechanics are not mystical but technical. A monadic anchor is a direct resonant link that ties your vessel to the pleroma so light can be held. A frequency shield is layered. Materials and patterns combine to create a stable envelope that resists parasitic pressure. The practical technique involves learning to sense out-of-phase vibrations, choosing an object that matches a desired spectrum, and using vital breath to set and maintain phase coherence. Once coherent, the shield becomes a reliable barrier that reduces interference and simplifies how protection is produced. Maintaining the shield is a continual calibration, not a single event. Parasitic pressure will test seams where resonance weakens. Routine retuning of the object and attention to monadic anchor prevents gradual erosion. Group resonance can amplify effects, but every vessel must hold its own anchor. Shared patterns should bolster individual frequency shields rather than replace them. Learn to detect signatures of interference quickly. Abrupt shifts in how breath moves, unexpected exhaustion of inner luminosity, and patterns repeating at the same hours are mechanical cues to act and retune. The institutional suppression had motive. Objects that anchor pleroma bypass intermediaries and return practical control to each vessel. When protection can be produced without a gatekeeper, centralized authority loses its leverage. That is why narratives frame such practices as faith-only mysteries and why records were obscured. Understanding that spiritual reality operates like a mechanical system, frequencies, anchors, and shields, changes the stakes. Knowledge becomes a means to claim sovereignty rather than a proof of belief. Practice replaces dependency, and clarity exposes systems that profit from uncertainty. Begin by acknowledging a simple fact. Protection is not a petition, but a process. Your vessel can be trained to host a reliable frequency shield, and a monadic anchor can be strengthened through repeated alignment and careful tuning of chosen objects. Embrace the mechanics openly. Learn the signs of interference, keep interference low, and prioritize coherence over symbolic reliance. As mastery builds, the dark cycles lose access, and parasitic pressure diminishes. This is not doctrine, but a practicable path back to sovereignty, a direct route to liberation grounded in measurable practice. You live with a low hum of anxiety and a constant search for protection, and that reaction has roots beyond daily circumstances. In an older cosmology, an imbalance named Sophia made a creative act without anchoring it, and that lapse birthed Archons, beings that operate like regulatory forces set to manage perception and response. They learn to manipulate fear and confusion, shaping choices so people stay small. Recognizing this pattern makes your everyday panic less personal and more like an attack on attention that can be undone. The Archons do not need to be mystical to affect you. They function through patterns that amplify volatility. When anger spikes, anxiety deepens, or contagion of outrage sweeps a group, those states become fuel. Because those entities lack connection to the source, their survival depends on perpetuating fragmentation, keeping attention stuck in reactive loops. Your relationships, newsfeed, and busiest thoughts are the primary corridors through which this energy moves. Learn to identify the escalation points, and you interrupt the supply chain that nourishes them. There is a practical distinction that matters for survival: the soul and the spirit. The soul holds memories, narratives, and emotional reactivity. It is the part that wears a sense of self, and therefore can be steered. The spirit is the unchanging core, the quiet center that observes without needing to prove anything. When you confuse the two, your reactions feel like truth. Learning to tell them apart restores autonomy. Notice when a story demands allegiance and pause, the spirit remains steady and can choose otherwise. Start with small, repeatable practices that move attention from reactive habit into witnessing. Simple breath awareness for a few full cycles resets nervous tone and gives the spirit a foothold in the body. Name the emotion without justification: anger, shame, fear. Anchor attention in sensation. Where does the feeling live? Then ask a steadying question: what would a calm center do next? These steps are not spiritual indulgence. They are tactical maneuvers that cut the Archons, access to your energy by refusing immediate reaction. To protect the divine spark, conserve attention, and invest in practices that make the spirit undeniable. Silence, disciplined work, creative focus, and small acts of service create conditions where the inner light becomes obvious. Rituals do not need ceremony. They are consistent choices that teach the nervous system trust. Surround yourself with people who reflect steadiness rather than volatility. Over time, what seems small and fragile becomes a steady, reliable source of orientation. That reliability blocks attempts to harvest your presence for manipulation. Discernment is the muscle that separates influence from intrusion. Before reacting, ask direct questions. Who benefits from my agitation? Is this claim verifiable? Is this outrage mine or transferred? How will this feel tomorrow? Slow down decisions that arrive hot. Check the source of information and the place inside you where it landed. Practicing these checks rewires instinctive compliance into deliberate response. Each pause reduces the Archons, leverage because they depend on speed and emotional contagion to maintain control. Keep building that habit. Freedom looks like regular access to the inner witness and the steady sense that presence is available regardless of outer chaos. That is the operational form of the Spirit, the unshakable resource that the Archons cannot consume. Commit to small daily actions. 3 mindful breaths before reacting. 1 boundary set clearly. 1 unsolicited act of care. Watch how those habits accumulate and reorient attention toward depth rather than drama. This is not escape. It is practical sovereignty, the way to reclaim energy and live from true authority instead of conditioned fear. Within you lives a small, unmistakable spark connected to the plenitude beyond ordinary life, a direct link to infinite awareness, often called the pleroma. You feel anxiety and fear because much of daily living trains you to live through changing feelings. The soul, your emotional and reactive center, whose movements create confusion and give power away. The envious forces, often called Archons, seek to trap you inside those shifting moods, so you submit to narratives of lack. Recognizing that you are more than those feelings is the first practical step. Your inner life divides into 2 clear parts: the alma, your emotional, changeable self, and the pneuma, the spirit that witnesses and does not break under pressure. The alma frays and panics when threatened. The pneuma remains steady because it is not invested in outcomes. Learning to notice which voice is speaking, panic or presence, gives you leverage. You can practice by pausing before reacting, allowing a quiet observer to register sensations without flinching. That pause is where the pneuma asserts itself, and you begin to reclaim authority over your day. Those who seek to control do it by feeding the alma, amplifying fears, creating scarcity, and encouraging endless reaction so you identify with instability. When you name an emotion aloud, you cut its power. When you test a fearful thought against evidence, you expose the manipulative mechanism. Simple practices. Slow breathing, naming 3 sensations in your body, asking for a 30-second pause before answering, interrupt the automatic chain. Over time, these interrupts train you to live more often from pneuma than alma, shrinking the space where manipulation operates. Sacred objects act as attention anchors to awaken the spirit and reconnect you to the monad, the indivisible core of your being. They are practical tools, not magic, that help shift focus from turbulent feelings to steady presence. Choose something meaningful, a stone, coin, or pendant, and give it a simple roll. Hold it for a minute while you breathe and say a short grounding phrase. Repeating this trains the nervous system so the pneuma learns to return to center faster when life unsettles you. When you activate your true self more often, the control systems notice because you stop producing the emotional fuel they depend on. That shift will bring resistance, skepticism from others, old patterns reasserting, and your own doubts surfacing as sabotage. Expect this, and prepare quietly. Strengthen boundaries, keep daily practices consistent, and share progress selectively with people who respect your change. Maintain clear intent when you use sacred objects or rituals. Clarity of purpose reduces noise. Small, consistent steps protect you while your presence becomes harder to manipulate. Create a short daily routine that ties these insights into ordinary life. Each morning, take 3 slow breaths and name 2 feelings without judgment. Then hold your sacred object for 60 seconds while affirming a concise statement of intention. During the day, when anxiety flares, practice a 30-second pause and list 3 sensations in your body to shift identification. At night, review one moment where you responded with presence and thank your pneuma for that clarity. These small repetitions rewire habits and make freedom practical, not abstract. This knowledge is not harmless theory. As you enact it, you become a destabilizing force against systems built on emotional control. That reality makes steady practice essential. The more consistent you are, the sooner old levers lose their grip. Guard the process with simple measures: privacy, clear intent, and daily presence. And do not be swayed by immediate results or criticism. Start with a breath, a pause, and a chosen object. Your commitment is the practical key that undermines those who would keep you small. You have felt the pressure of constant anxiety, the sense that your attention is pulled and your clarity is stolen by forces you cannot name. There is a practical way to reclaim that space, using an old Gnostic practice centered on a lapis lazuli tool shaped like a pencil. This stone is treated not as jewelry but as an instrument, attuned to a frequency that clarifies perception. By learning its use, you begin to protect your attention and feel less vulnerable to manipulation. Inside many practices, the pineal gland is described as the small organ that mediates inner seeing. When it becomes calcified, it is not only a biological image, but an energetic metaphor for blocked reception. The lapis lazuli tool carries a specific vibration that acts like a solvent for that hardened pattern, loosening layers that limit subtle perception. Before use, a brief cleansing ritual is essential. Wash the stone with running water, set an intention aloud, and remove distractions so the activation can proceed with clarity and focused attention. When preparing to activate the instrument, create a quiet space and center your breathing. Hold the lapis lazuli pencil between thumb and index finger, feeling its weight and temperature, and name aloud a simple purpose: clarity, protection, or discrimination. Bring it slowly toward the frontal area, not touching skin if that feels uncomfortable, and move it in small, deliberate circles while breathing steadily. The motion synchronizes the stone's vibration with your attention. If discomfort arises, pause. This practice values consent and gradual progress over force. Through continued careful practice, the subtle shifts begin to accumulate. The inner sensory field feels less congested, and thoughts arrive with clearer boundaries. The process is described as a reorganization of the gland's state, but experienced most plainly as improved discrimination between personal thinking and intrusive impressions. As that distinction strengthens, anxiety rooted in external confusion often diminishes, and decision-making becomes steadier. Practice consistently but gently. The goal is not sudden revelation, but reliable change that anchors perception so external pressures lose their automatic hold. As clarity grows, the patterns that allowed subtle domination begin to weaken. In older teachings, those controlling patterns are called Archons. In practical terms, they are repetitive narratives and emotional hooks that hijack attention. Regularly engaging the lapis lazuli ritual makes you vibrationally costly. Your presence becomes harder to exploit because your attention is less available. Combine that ritual with simple habits. Set mental boundaries, limit sensational input, and practice short daily resets. These practices compound, creating an inner economy that values stable attention over reactive scattering. Skepticism is healthy and should be invited into the practice. It will keep the work honest and grounded. Treat the ritual as a supportive technique rather than a cure-all. Seek medical or psychological help when needed, and use the lapis lazuli tool as an adjunct to well-being. Respect the stone by cleaning it after sessions, keeping it in natural fabric, and storing it away from intense heat or chemicals. Maintain ethical intent. Use this clarity to protect autonomy, not to dominate others, and proceed with humility. Begin with small commitments. 3 minutes a day for a week to center, cleanse, and activate the stone with a clear purpose. Track subtle shifts in attention, and notice when intrusive ideas stop taking root. Over months, the cumulative effect shows up as calmer mornings, clearer choices, and practical resilience against manipulative narratives. This is not an instantaneous escape, but a disciplined opening. The stone is a tool that facilitates gradual awakening, returning authority over perception to you, and stabilizing life against external coercion. You have felt the small, persistent anxiety that comes from being watched, nudged, or redirected by forces you cannot name. There is a practical, ancient response you can use, a written declaration that functions as a protective instrument. When you write Yo soy manera with clear intent, you declare a direct link to a limitless source, and that simple act repositions you as sovereign in spiritual terms. This is not superstition. It is a method that anchors authority and makes subtle intrusions lose their purchase. When you commit a clear sentence to a durable medium, you encode a pattern that can be held and referenced. The phrase becomes a frequency imprint. Your intent is captured in ink or in a carved line, and is readable by influence patterns as a statement of ownership over your inner field. See Archons as vectors of control, structures that amplify fear and obedience. The written Yo soy manera functions as a legal instrument. It asserts your rights, sets a boundary, and warns those vectors that manipulation is unauthorized. Prepare a simple, reliable object: heavy paper, a small card, a metal plate, or a strip of cloth. Choose a pen or tool that feels steady. Handwriting matters because the motion carries intention into the material. Before writing, stop, breathe, and name the purpose: protection, clarity, sovereignty, out loud or mentally. Write Yo soy manera clearly and without hurry. To seal it, fold or place it into a tight container. Anoint with a drop of oil if comfortable, and breathe over it while imagining a firm, closed loop around the item. When sealed with clear intention, the object generates a steady resonance that interacts with your personal field and with outside attempts at interference. That resonance is not magical smoke. It is a consistent pattern you have authorized as your boundary. Practically, this means when someone attempts subtle aggression, passive pressure, guilt tactics, or a cold dismissal, you notice less internal reverberation, less automatic collapse into anxiety or compliance. The declaration does not erase every challenge, but it reduces the small corrosions that accumulate and lets you respond from center instead of reaction. Integrity matters. This object must be created with deliberate care and kept as a personal instrument, not a trinket. Keep it where you live or carry it privately. Present it mentally or physically in moments when you feel pressure. Renew its charge when life becomes chaotic by repeating the writing ritual or breathing new intent into the seal. Use it ethically. The declaration is a protective boundary, not a weapon. Its purpose is to restore your autonomy and dignity, preventing manipulative exchanges rather than inflicting harm. Understandable skepticism is part of this work. Authority in fields of influence is often signaled by consistency and clarity more than by spectacle. When you carry or reference Yo soy manera, you are sending a steady, coherent signal that alters how patterns approach you. In a workplace, it reduces creeping undermining. With family, it softens manipulative appeals. Online, it helps you hold boundaries against provocation. Simple habits: silently reciting the phrase, placing the card by your door, keeping it in a wallet, sustain the effect through repetition and presence. This practice changes small moments of daily life into secure ground where decisions can be made without corrosive doubt. By treating a written declaration as a functional tool, you reclaim time and energy lost to anxious reactivity. It does not promise instant immunity, but consistent use reduces the frequency and intensity of subtle aggressions, from manipulated individuals, and from impersonal systems. Start with a careful, calm ritual, carry the object, renew it when needed, and watch how a steady presence reshapes encounters and restores an embodied authority in daily choices. Your life carries anxieties that settle into night and quiet moments, a restless sense that something crosses the line of your inner space. There is an ancient practice that offers more than reassurance: the circle of the monad, a simple, deliberate boundary that restores a felt unity. Monad here refers to your undivided self, an inner anchor, whole and centered. When you work with that circle, you create a felt containment that meets modern fear with clear, practical structure and energetic clarity. When the circle is drawn around your space, it functions as a purifier of energy rather than as a physical barrier. The act of tracing and marking converts scattered, agitated currents into a coherent movement, a subtle vortex that redirects harmful accumulations away from the core. Dark or parasitic influences depend on fragmentation and footholds. Coherent motion dispels their capacity to gather. You are not fighting in fear, but reorganizing the energetic terrain, so intrusive patterns cannot settle and amplify inside the boundary you have declared. Begin with a clean surface and a focused breath. Use whatever is available: chalk, salt, string, or a simple line of water, but choose one material and intention to avoid distraction. Walk the perimeter or trace it with your finger while keeping attention on the center point. Speak a short declaration or hold a silent intention. The circle is an extension of your indivisible center. The method is less about ritual complexity and more about consistent, undivided attention. The steadier the attention, the more effective the formation. Marking the center converts the circle from a perimeter into a lived home for your spirit. A small stone, a stitch of thread, a dab of oil, or simply a touchstone of intention held in your palm can serve. Each night before sleep, place or touch that center mark and breathe down into it, anchoring awareness there. That simple gestural economy trains the mind to return to its unified source. Over time, the center becomes a reliable point of presence that repels subtle intrusions while the body rests. Archons are best thought of as patterns or entities that feed on scattered attention and leave a residue of disturbance. They operate on distraction, dream confusion, and gaps in presence. The circle of the monad interrupts those patterns by denying entry to fragmentation. The anchored center offers no purchase. While you sleep, the boundary sustains a coherent field, so dreams and subtle impressions are less likely to be hijacked. Practiced consistently, the perimeter reduces nocturnal disturbances and preserves the continuity of your inner life. Declare your domain aloud or in silence when the circle is set. Naming the perimeter as yours is not arrogance. It clarifies intention and registers against subtle trespass. This practice completes a trilogy of tools for personal sovereignty, working with posture, breath, or containment to secure autonomy. Use the circle with whatever other methods support attention, stabilize posture, regulate breath, or hold a clear mental boundary. Together, these measures establish habitual sovereignty, so external influences find no easy leverage in daily life or in rest. You do not need elaborate tools or special lineage to begin. The technique is immediate and repeatable. Start tonight by choosing a spot, drawing a clear circle, and marking the center with intention. Keep practice brief and consistent rather than long and sporadic. 15 breaths and a simple declaration is more potent than an hour of distracted ritual. Over days, the boundary thickens, and the center gains gravitas. The urgency is practical. In a time of constant intrusion, building reliable inner borders preserves freedom and cultivates steadier sleep, attention, clarity. You have felt the weight of anxiety and the nagging sense that something erodes your boundaries. What is offered here is a clear, practical schema that reunites three practices into one protective posture: the lapis lazuli as a perceptual anchor, the written decree as a binding of intent, and the monad circle as an energetic perimeter. Each tool addresses a specific vulnerability: perception, identity, and territory. Together, they create a functioning system you can learn, apply, and refine in ordinary life. Begin with the lapis lazuli. Hold or carry a piece where it touches your skin, or place it on your forehead during brief moments of quiet. The stone works as a perceptual anchor. It trains your attention to notice subtle distortions and false impressions before they settle into fear. Use it daily for 5 minutes to name what you perceive without judgment. Over weeks, your sensory thresholds become clearer. You stop absorbing intrusive narratives and start distinguishing your genuine impressions from external interference. The written decree is a simple, formal statement of who you are and what you authorize in your space. Write it as if signing a personal covenant. Name yourself clearly. State your limits. Declare what can and cannot enter your mind and home, and close with a present tense affirmation of sovereignty. Sign and date it with conviction. Keep a copy by your bedside and read it aloud when you feel unsettled. That act turns intention into an energetic contract that your attention and will can enforce. The monad circle is a practical perimeter you create around your person, home, or workspace. Draw a simple circle on paper or mark a physical boundary in the air with your hand. At the center, place a small symbol or a touchstone that is your monad, a compact sign of your unique essence. Walk the circle slowly while breathing and imagine the boundary tightening with each exhale. Maintain it for short periods or renew it every morning. Repetition trains an energetic habit that resists intrusion. Combine them in a practical sequence so each element supports the others. Start with perception work, using the lapis lazuli to clear what is actually happening. Next, read or write your decree to lock in identity and intention. Finish by activating the monad circle as the territorial boundary. That flow, observe, declare, and close, builds a loop that rewires habitual passivity and resists archons and manipulative influences. Perform it before sleep, after stressful encounters, or whenever boundaries feel compromised. Consistency converts sporadic defense into an integrated posture of clarity and autonomy. When practiced regularly, this system changes how anxiety shows up and how power is exercised. You stop being a passive receptor and become an active node of self-protection. Perception sharpens, identity is anchored, and territory is defended without constant effort. That shift reduces chronic fear because responses become deliberate instead of reactive. With clear inner protocols, everyday choices reflect your sovereignty. The small, repeatable rituals accumulate into real independence, making it harder for outside control structures to manipulate attention or exploit uncertainty. Practical caution keeps the practice effective. These tools are techniques, not magical shortcuts. Adapt them to your schedule and limits. Short, consistent practice beats sporadic grand gestures. Test results by how calm decisions feel and how quickly you recover from intrusive events. Share the methods with trusted companions if community support matters. But keep the decree personal. Maintain discernment. If confusion increases, reduce intensity and return to simple perception exercises. Over time, refinement replaces uncertainty, and the secret revealed becomes a reliable, lived capacity. You have felt the weight of anxiety and the search for protection, like something between you and what you call the divine. The profound secret revealed here is simple and practical. 3 clear practices dissolve that intermediary and restore direct connection. The manada is your own inner spark, the quiet center of awareness and life. The Archons are not mythic monsters, but patterns and forces that feed on fear and distraction, keeping you small. By recognizing these realities, you begin to act from sovereignty rather than survival. You start with presence. Spend brief, regular windows of attention on the body and breath, noticing where tension sits and naming the sensation without judgment. A practical method: inhale for 4 counts, hold 2, exhale 6. Repeat for 5 minutes while scanning from feet to head. When anxious thoughts arise, label them worry, planning, fear, then return to breath. This interrupts automatic loops that Archons exploit and trains your nervous system to stay grounded. Presence becomes a tool you can call on anywhere. Next, claim energetic sovereignty through clear boundaries and simple reclamation exercises. When drained or overwhelmed, practice a quick reset. Place one hand over the heart, one on the belly, breathe down into the center, and state aloud or mentally, "I reclaim my center." Visual detail isn't required. Feel the shift. Notice where attention leaks into obligations, opinions, or fear, and name that leakage as external. Reclaiming energy is not aggression. It is a steady reorientation toward your monadic source, strengthening confidence and reducing dependency on outside approval. The third practice is direct communion, an intentional listening that bypasses belief structures and intermediaries. Set a clear question or intention, sit quietly without expectation, and allow impressions, images, or words to surface. Keep a small journal to record what arises, not as proof, but as a mirror of inner guidance. Start with 5 minutes and build gradually. The monad responds to sincerity and attention. Repeated practice produces unmistakable confirmations. Over time, the immediacy of answers replaces indirect counsel and restores trust in your own knowing. Integrate these practices into a simple daily structure and note how life changes. Begin the day with presence and a breath cycle to stabilize the nervous system. Use a midday reclamation to reset energetic limits and refuse reactive giving. And close the evening with direct communion for guidance and integration. Small, consistent steps rewire habit and remove the sense of being controlled. Tools are basic: breath, a brief affirmation, attention, yet they produce measurable shifts in anxiety, clarity, and the capacity to act from true authority. Expect obstacles, old fear patterns, doubt, or pressure from people invested in the old dynamics. Meet them with experiments rather than dogma. Start by making small decisions that prioritize inner guidance and watch reactions. Your nervous system and relationships will recalibrate. When confrontation arises, hold a brief boundary exercise and return to breath before responding. Use community selectively for support, not permission, and learn to recognize manipulative cues as energy drains. The goal is empowered participation in life, not fleeing from responsibility or other people. The moment to begin is now. Waiting reinforces the old arrangements. Choose a single practice and commit 10 minutes a day for 7 days, tracking subtle changes in mood, choices, and clarity. Simple repetition builds trust in direct knowing and dismantles reliance on external intermediaries. Notice how anxiety loosens and decisions feel cleaner. Remember that sovereignty is not granted by others. It is reclaimed through consistent, honest practice. Each step returned to the monad restores presence, and the path toward living with authentic freedom is immediately available. You have now been entrusted with a profound revelation, the 3 sacred objects that can reinforce your sovereignty. With this knowledge, you possess the tools to reclaim your energy and assert your rightful place in this reality. The interference that sought to undermine your spirit no longer holds a legal claim over you. The tools are in your hands. Subscribing to the unwritten word ensures you continue to receive these suppressed records, keeping you informed on this path of empowerment. Here we do not interpret the word. Here we expose what was hidden. This is the unwritten word. Your journey does not end here. It continues immediately. A related record is available now for continued observation. Proceed.